Oh, we're good? We're live? Yeah. Okay, amazing. Welcome back to A Very Nice Day with Kelly Grace May and Morgan Pierce.
Morgan Pierce. She thinks she's very fierce.
Did we open
with that last time?
Wait, so did we?
Yeah,
probably. I don't know. So let's do it. So my name is Kelly Grace May and I'm having a very nice day. You?
Mine was, I'm Morgan Pierce and I think I'm very fierce.
Yes, correct.
And I think this is how we introed last time, but I feel really good about it because we're consistent.
That's consistent. Okay, we'll do it again next time too.
Yeah, okay, good.
Okay, so welcome back to A Very Nice Day with Kelly Grace May and Morgan Pierce, who's very fierce. We are back with another sister episode.
But like, who cares about us? It's your anniversary.
It is.
Mom called me. She's like, don't forget to bring up Kelly's anniversary.
She already sent me 3 videos.
Oh. Okay.
So yeah, it's crazy. It has been a year since the best day of our lives.
Literally the best day.
The best day, Plur.
I mean,
should we tell them about your Plur experience?
One, I mean, I went to Miami. I have many.
No, but your most recent Plur
like as a
experience.
mother?
Yes. At the Brooklyn Mirage for my wedding after party.
Okay, well, one, do you want to clear the air that you didn't plan it around the afterlife thing?
I didn't. I think I've said it before, but I will put on record. I didn't plan my wedding around afterlife at the Brooklyn Mirage, but
I think Mom and God had this.
I manifested it.
Yeah,
I manifested it because it was the year before. It was on the same weekend, and I said, "Mark my words, it's going to get announced that they're having afterlife the weekend of our wedding, and we are going to the Brooklyn Mirage for our after party," because I wasn't just going to go to the Brooklyn Mirage if it was like Joe Schmo
I was not going to, had no idea what you were talking about regardless. So I was like, good luck with everything.
Right. But so then in March it got announced and I made Andy clear our savings account to hold the 3 tables. And then
it was best you held space for that because
I held space for the possibility.
Yeah. Well, basically my goal, you said I had to go. You were really adamant
you
about
had
it.
no reason not to go.
Well, I was tired.
But you weren't knocked up like you are now.
Oh my God, imagine me now.
No. Well, then you would have had to pass.
I would still go.
I think you would still go for principle.
Yeah. Just to tell the story. I love the story. Well, basically, we went, and I really wanted to make it to 4 a.m. And then at 4 a.m., I held up my phone to show the timestamp.
Yeah, you kept showing the timestamp throughout the whole night. You kept coming up to me, not saying anything, just showing me your phone that you were still there.
Yeah. Which is what I did at your bachelorette. So again, consistency. Mm-hmm. But then then I went up to Andy, my Andy, and I was like, hey, it's time to go. I'm going to, I want to go.
And he did not want to leave.
Well, no, he said, who are you leaving with? And I said, you. I know we're out of practice, but we leave together. Right. You're married.
But he really wanted to stay.
He didn't get it.
I, too, also really wanted to stay for as long as possible.
Yeah. Well, and you did.
Yes.
You sure did.
Yeah.
So anyway, I'm saying my goodbyes, and I think that Andy is behind me as I'm leaving.
Of course.
And I turn around and he's nowhere to be seen. And I start talking to this guy as I do. And he's like, I love your yellow dress. And he comes up to me and goes like this. And I was like, oh my God.
This is my moment.
I'm getting welcomed into the community.
This is my moment.
He does peace, love, unity, respect. And he gives me this yellow.
Do it.
I don't remember it.
You have to go peace. Love,
love,
unity, respect,
and then
you
slid the ring on my finger,
he proposed,
which was it was more intimate than my proposal.
It was very intimate,
and it was this yellow ring
that matched your dress because Morgan did change into an after party dress for my wedding.
As this is happening, my husband is walking down the stairs and he's like, "What the fuck? What are you doing?" And I was like, they picked me.
They picked you
into their community. And
you were chosen.
I was the chosen one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's so exciting. I know, as you should.
I think my daughter tried to wear it and I was like,
you should give it to her. It's a family heirloom.
I had to sanitize it, obviously.
Yeah, of course. Put it through the little
But
UV.
I was like,
yeah,
this is about me now.
It was always about you.
Also, the yellow dress was yours. I feel like people should know that.
Which I actually did a closet clean out the other day, and that yellow dress is never going to get worn by me. And at this point, it's been altered to fit your body, and I think it's yours now.
Yeah,
you've worn it twice. Why wouldn't it be yours?
Well, who knows when I'll fit into that again? But
I'm sure you will be fine.
God is good.
God is good.
He'll do it.
God is good.
But people were concerned that I did an outfit change at your wedding. But in fairness, it was pouring rain and Chase, I was going to always change for the after party.
It made so much sense to
But
me that you
Chase
changed.
got mud all over me when I picked her up when she had a mental breakdown walking down the aisle. She really failed as a flower girl.
She did not do what I thought she was going to do. But if I got married today, like a year later, she would have crushed. She would have made that her stage. Like that would have been her performance.
We practiced for weeks. You remember? We watched YouTube videos every day. Practicing the flower girl, which I highly recommend if anyone's going through that to like practice and watch
practice
YouTube videos.
as the bride.
Sure.
Me walking down the aisle was a shit show. I was like, like so animated. My photos are so embarrassing. Like practice. But yes, continue.
But like right when we turned the corner to the crowd, Chase just basically had a mentee bee and like laid on the floor. And our amazing wedding planner was like, abort, pick her up now.
Veronica said, absolutely not. Do not mess this up.
I forgot about the mud and the dress situation. Yeah. But anyway, it all worked out.
It really all worked out. I have something kind of crazy to tell you.
I'm so nervous.
I hope that you don't know. I'm not pregnant. That's not what I'm telling you.
Oh my God. That would be.
Oh my God, though, that is how I should do it. If and when, God willing. No. So mom came over yesterday. Are you jealous?
Yeah. Well, no, I see her every day, but yes.
But like she drove an hour to see me.
Do you think we have like a secret jealousy now about like spending time with mom? Okay.
I am competitive about this.
I'm not because I know
I am the favorite child right now, just because I have I have no
with
stuff.
Mom or with both?
Both.
No.
I really think
Dad
with both.
came over yesterday to hang out with us because he's like so obsessed with the children. That's my only hang up. Like you're not going to be able to compete with me right now.
Okay. Well, when I have a child that comes out of me, it's on.
Like I have something to tell Billy, our brother. Dad is giving Cooper the MG. He told us yesterday.
No, Billy will literally have an absolute fit. That is not happening.
Okay, well, anyway.
Billy will have to pass it down to Cooper, which is actually age appropriate. If that makes sense.
Well, yeah.
You know?
Totally.
Anywho, so Bob came over yesterday. Okay. And I was like, what am I going to do with her? I don't know. And then I got a little commission check in my PayPal thing.
Fun.
It was a couple $100. And I was like, what if I just took mom back to school shopping?
Well, now I'm triggered.
Why?
Because mom wouldn't take me back to school shopping, but obviously took you back to school shopping.
That was
a little fun fact. I wore Billy's grimy ass clothes, and I guess mom and dad were doing well when you were in grammar school. But you had the cutest fucking clothes.
No, I know. I was dripping in Burberry.
Okay, fine.
I was dripping.
I remember
I had a juicy sweatsuit in every single color. I was an icon.
And yeah, so mom got mad at me. Me and one of my best friends growing up, her mom bought me a matching JanSport backpack with her, and mom made me return it, and I'm still really upset about it.
That's actually rude. But
okay, wait. So
but now that you're a mom, can you understand that you might be I don't want you to take something else from
I put a boundary and you went around me.
Right.
Yes. Yeah. But it does happen.
Okay, but so I took mom back to school shopping.
Okay.
So she comes over. I'm we're going back to school shopping. She's what are you talking about? I'm it's going to be great. So I take her to Lululemon because she wanted a few workout tops, but she was really upset because she called me the day before. She was I can't find anything that's not cropped, which is actually so fair. And I also looked and I couldn't find anything.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah. So I took her to Lululemon. We got a few tops. I pushed her in the dressing room. I made her try on. It was great. So we got her a few things at Lululemon. Then I took her to Reformation. I made her try a bunch of stuff on. She didn't like anything. So we left. And then we went to Alo. We don't know how to say it. We can't come to an agreement. Got her some stuff there.
I think it's aloe. But
I think so too.
I don't know.
I think it's aloe, but I always want to say aloe, and that's just on New Jersey. That's not my fault. But so that's not where it gets crazy. Okay. So then we go get pizza, and Andy texts me, and he's I'll come pick you guys up. I'm on my way home he was in the West Village watching football with his friends.
He was
just there to support them,
and that was
watching
what was on
football. Totally.
I told you guys that football was on.
Right. We don't know, but he just heard his friends were hanging out, and he was
I did a civil sisterly duty to be hey, just a reminder,
culturally,
football started.
Yeah, right.
Get involved.
But so he was there saying go sports, and then he was picking us up. So we needed to kill some time after getting pizza. So there's this candy shop that people are obsessed with. Okay, it's called Bon Bon.
Yes,
I went. It's not Like it's, unless you just like sour straws, like that's kind of the vibe. The candy wasn't great, but it was more of like an experience, like an ambiance thing. And then mom was talking to the people who work there, obviously, like talking about licorice, like the history of licorice, like all the different types, whatever. So she was like, can you get me a few of these? And I was like, of course. So we have this great day. Everything's amazing. We're eating candy on the street. Andy's about to pick us up. We're in between two cars. I'm eating some candy. Mom's eating some candy. And Andy's about to pull up. And all of a sudden, mom is chewing. And she looks at me and she goes, oh no. And she's chewing. And I go, what? And she spits the toffee out of her mouth. And her tooth is in the toffee.
The crown of her tooth.
Mom lost, yeah, or she might kill me for actually saying this on the podcast, but whatever, I don't care.
She lost the crown of her tooth.
It looked like a full tooth, but it was like, I guess the crown, I don't know, I'm not like
dramatically,
well-versed in
I got a text
dentistry.
this morning, I lost my tooth. No context.
Right.
So this is closing some gaps for me.
Right. So then so it was a whole thing. Mom was like freaking out. She wouldn't show us the inside of her mouth for a little bit, but then she finally did. And yeah, so mom lost a tooth yesterday. It was like too good to be true. The whole day was so perfect. It was so amazing. And then like she had to end it losing her tooth.
Are you gonna like have to pay
I honestly feel responsible.
You're like
financially.
Like you brought her
financially.
No, like you brought her to that candy shop. Mom
I know.
would never go in. She like doesn't believe in sugar anymore.
No,
with your
like
husband.
Yeah.
Wow. Well, on the flip side, I got the text. I lost my tooth.
No context.
And I'm like, are you
okay? There was no blood. Also, it was so weird.
You're either getting every fucking detail
that you never asked for.
And you're like, are we wrapping this up? Like, are we going to continue on it with our lives, or just like lost my tooth?
Right. Yeah.
So I'm like really glad to that's how it happened.
That's how it happened.
And then she said crown, and then I like just again no context. So I was like crown of
So
tooth.
I do feel responsible and probably financially
You are
obligated
socially and financially obligated to help.
To fix this. Yeah, love that for me because I don't know anything
That's
about
actually
dentists,
really
but
good,
it's expensive.
Like practice for parenting, because I think that you have to absorb all those costs. Like
You absorb every cost, and you haven't even gotten to the part where it's like expensive.
No, yeah, my like Cooper's mouth is like has like the craziest underbite. He actually has like 2 teeth growing in one spot. So I'm just like, oh, orthodontry, like coming on up.
Yeah, like braces.
Braces,
that's
like,
expensive.
I have braces twice. I'm like just surprised Dad doesn't like totally hate me.
I got my braces off early. Because my high school boyfriend broke up with me and I was like, whatever. And I literally texted mom and I'm like, I need to get my braces off. And then she called the orthodontist and I went literally the next day to get my braces off and I marched myself back into school, no braces. I was like, I am the hottest thing that's ever hit this planet, walked through school and we were back together by the weekend.
No one talks about how you are never hotter than
when
the
you get your
week
braces
you
off.
got your braces off. And then somebody else gets their braces off and they're super hot.
It's like a ripple effect.
Oh my God. Like you are just like the best version of yourself.
Oh, and like the confidence that spikes through your body. Like
it is
you couldn't touch me.
A rush of endorphins.
I really need to emulate that on like a day-to-day basis. Like act like you just got your braces off.
Totally.
That's the
Maybe
energy.
that's the like what we write on our mirror.
Yeah.
Like,
you just got your braces off.
Yeah.
That's the vibe.
That's the vibe.
So I'm really excited for you to have to pay for all
like
of
you know
that.
how they say like act as if.
Act as if you just got your braces off.
You just got your braces off.
I love that. So you are obviously very pregnant.
Wait, so last time we did this thing.
Yeah.
AKA podcasting. I knew I was pregnant. No, I hadn't taken a test yet. But remember we had like a sleepover and like a fun like sisterly night.
Yes.
I probably got pregnant like a couple weeks before and I just had this like really weird feeling. Remember I was like, should I sleep over? Should I not? Like the children, like etc. And I was like, no, I have to have a sleepover with Kelly because I just feel like I am pregnant.
You had an inner knowing.
And then I found out a couple
that
weeks
it might
later.
be our last sleepover.
Yeah.
Not ever.
No, but like, then I know how I am my first trimester, which is really something.
Not good.
It wasn't great.
I've never actually heard of anyone having a good first trimester, but I think we need a backup.
Some people do. Oh, okay.
I think we need a backup. Okay, so you're very pregnant.
I'm pretty pregnant.
We need to talk about how we got here.
Wait, I don't even. It's funny. Your first pregnancy, you're like, I am 31 weeks and 2 seconds pregnant, and this time I'm like, what am I?
Is there an
Shout
app
out
you're
Flow
looking
app.
at?
Flow. People use this, I think, to
I use Flow to track my period and
so I'm
to not get pregnant.
weeks and 5 days. My due date is my birthday.
So that's really
I'm as big as a Napa cabbage.
cute. So that's really what I want to talk about, though, is how we got here, how you got yourself in this position.
It's a situation.
It's a situation. Okay, so you are almost 34. Not to age you.
Am I? Is that true?
Yeah, October 31st. You will be 34 years old. So
yeah. Oh my God, I'm 33.
I know. You want to know who instilled this information in me? Is mom. Yesterday. Yeah. She's 2 on top of her dates.
Yeah, she's
like really on top of her dates.
I love when she texts me and she's like, June 27th, it's your best friend from 3rd grade's birthday. Happy birthday, blah, blah, blah. And
no, like she's always like, it's Tyler Ditto's birthday. I'm like, what do you mean? Like, what do you mean? Shout out Tyler Ditto.
Yeah.
Okay, so you have 2 children currently, like that are out of you.
They're Earthside.
They're walking. They're
toddlers.
Like alive. Yeah. Chase and Cooper. And you were kind of like on the fence, like, should I have a 3rd kid? Whatever. I'm not trying to tell the story for you, but I do feel like it's important that I kind of like lead you to where I'm trying to go with this. So one day you're like sitting at your dining room table and you're like, Siri, what's 9 months from today?
No, well.
Yes, and Siri said October 31st. That is your birthday.
Backing up, I did always want a 3rd, but I did not want it this soon.
Okay.
Because I was like, Chase and Cooper were so close together. I really wanted more of a gap. Well, I was really going back and forth. I'm like, I want a gap so like the older kid can add value to my life and help.
Yeah, like put him to work.
But I didn't want them to be on an island because I felt like growing up, you were kind of on an island.
I was. Thank you for noticing.
Yeah. Well, I was basically like
You were my mom.
Yeah, I was the president of that island for a little bit.
Yeah.
And so I went back and forth, but one of my friends got pregnant. And I really wanted to be pregnant with her, which is silly.
Shout out Spencer.
And then I think I also really just wanted to make sure that this kid wasn't on an island by itself. And we were drunk one night. And yes, I was like, Andy was like, he was more ready than me because he doesn't have to do anything.
Right.
Physically.
Yeah, of course.
Except one thing.
Except one thing. One job.
One job. Very minimal
He's so good at that job, though. Great. He's proven to be really successful.
Yeah. He will tell you that, too.
Yeah.
And we did ask Siri, like, what
is 9 months
40 weeks was today, and it was Halloween. And that's my birthday. And I was like, oh, my God, it would be so fun to have a Halloween baby. And that is what inspired this whole thing. And so when I got my due date, I was like, you did this to yourself.
It's really not Scorpio of you to want to share your birthday also.
I know. And I think I wouldn't have wanted to share it if it was like just a random date. Maybe I would. But Halloween is like
fun.
I'm sure
it's
my like friends
you.
are listening to this being like, I fucking hate that your birthday's on Halloween because it became my whole personality.
It's your whole personality. And now every year, like that's like, they don't have another Halloween plan.
I also want to share this. Like I am very well aware that like me saying how easily I got pregnant can be very triggering for people because I know it can take a while. Like it normally does. I'm very fortunate in that regard. And I just want to like say that as a blanket statement.
You are a rare, fertile specimen.
Yeah.
Yeah. But that's just your story. That's just how it happened.
That is just how it happened.
But I appreciate you acknowledging that. But that is your story.
Yeah, it is.
And to back up even further, I feel like the last time we did this, we didn't set the stage of like how even Chase and Cooper came to be, which we could maybe start with Chase.
Yeah.
Because you got
people
pregnant
asked
with Chase when you were 29. And I'm 29 now, and I'm like, how?
Well, that's why like I give mom so much grace because I'm like, holy fuck, like you were literally
15
an infant
basically.
Child.
Yeah.
So yeah, a lot of people asked like how we knew we were ready. I don't think like we really knew, but I do have like random thoughts on that. But basically our wedding got canceled during COVID.
In 2020.
And
it was supposed to be in May of 2020.
We ended up moving it to July. And then the state of Colorado where I was supposed to get married was like, you're not having a wedding. And so we ended up moving it to my in-laws' backyard, which was like perfect. And if you end up like eloping and having a small wedding, it was so amazing. Because I feel like I got to really, I mean, there's a lot of value of having a big wedding too, but like I got to really spend time with all 30 people. But
it was so nice.
It was very strict. It was like literally the heat of COVID.
Yeah.
My father-in-law was like, we are only allowed to have 30 people or whatever it was. You will have 30 people.
Right.
So it sucked because like a lot of my best friends couldn't come. But regardless, I found out I was pregnant 2 weeks before the wedding.
Yeah.
I found out, I think, July 1st, and we had the wedding July 19th. So my boobs looked great.
Your boobs were they were immaculate. Like the dress fit, everything was amazing. And like
the dress was a little tight on my belly. I was a little bloated.
The craziest knockers.
But my boobs looked, I was like, all right.
Yeah.
God gives you what you can handle.
100%.
Okay, so I was pregnant at my wedding. I wouldn't recommend it only because 8-9 weeks is a tough time.
Yeah.
For you to be sick. But backing up, I got pregnant with Chase. We had Chase, whatever.
February of 2021.
And I was still breastfeeding. I had a really hard delivery with Chase, which I'll get into. But Cooper came very quickly. I probably got pregnant when I was 4.5, 5 months.
No, I know. I will never forget when we found out you were pregnant with Cooper.
Okay, well, remember how I found out? When I found out I was pregnant with Chase, I also had this really weird feeling.
Gut feeling.
And I was like, could I be pregnant? I've transparently never had a pregnancy scare. So I was but I just felt it in my bones. I was like, I think I am pregnant. And you were living next door to me at the time. And remember I called you and it had the lines. And I was like, go to CVS, get the one.
And we lived down the street from each other at this point.
Yes.
We were still in San Francisco.
But I was go get the one that says pregnant or not pregnant.
Yes.
I don't understand. And I just didn't leave the bathroom, and Andy just kept knocking on the door. And
I was
came in.
I was like, leave her alone. She needs space.
And you came in the apartment, you're like, hi. and he's like, why is Kelly allowed in the bathroom and not me? And I was like, oh, you have to leave. I have to tell the father.
Yeah.
And then fast forward with Cooper, I was 4.5 months pregnant. Fun fact, I didn't even know you could get pregnant when you were breastfeeding. That's an old wives' tale. You totally can get pregnant when you're breastfeeding. Just feel like I should share that with the internet.
So you gave birth to Chase in February, okay?
Yes.
And then now we're in the summer of 2021.
Yeah.
February to, what was it, June?
June. And I had a really hard pregnancy with Chase. I pushed for a really long time. I had a really tough doctor. It was the middle of COVID. I didn't have a lot of support from nurses. So I wasn't pushing correctly, I am sure. And she ended up getting stuck. I pushed for 3 or 4 hours. She ended up getting stuck behind one of the bones. We had to use the vacuum to get her out. Andy and I laughed because remember, I was like, I'm going to set up the tripod because that's what I see on social media. We're going to film it just for us. How beautiful. And Andy's like, we would have been filming you get into a car accident.
Literally. It was not easy for you.
But it was a really, really tough delivery. And I think that's why you have to be open to everything and attached to nothing in the delivery room. But Chase came out and
she was perfect. She is perfect.
Though her and I remember my mom, who's the most positive person in the world.
She's also my mom.
Our mom. I don't know why I did that.
It's okay.
She is the most positive Polly, but she texted my husband when he was sending out the photos of me and Chase. She goes, no more sharing these.
No more
in
sharing
her
these.
Low voice.
You were puffy.
I had broken blood vessels. Andy thought I put on makeup, and he's like, oh my God, no, that's just broken blood vessels. But I was swollen, inflamed. My epidural didn't work. It was a whole that's a whole other story. But I think the biggest thing, a lot of your followers were what to expect or whatever. I think you have to expect the unexpected. You have to trust your doctors and know yourself. One thing I wish I had done was had a doula. I thought doulas were hippy dippy shit that, spiritual leaders. And I was like, I have Bobby. I'm sure she'll text me something.
What really are they?
But they
what
really are. I mean, I'm not a specialist in doulas, but they really advocate for you in the delivery room.
So they're there when you give birth.
They are there when you give birth. They have conversations with you ahead of birth. I'm not a really big believer in birth plans only if you can't stick, you have to, again, be open to everything and attached to nothing. So of course you could say, I really want to give birth without an epidural, or I do really want an epidural, or, whatever you envision.
Your idealized plan.
And I think it's great to communicate that to your doula definitely your partner. But you have to be open to things changing because so many things change. And the most important thing is that like you and the baby are healthy and safe.
Yeah.
You and the baby.
Yeah.
So they're very focused on getting the baby out healthy. And that's like how our maternity system works.
I know.
But the doula really is your advocate. So like, for example, I didn't get any feedback from my doctor or nurse when I was pushing, but we had a nurse that came in like 4 hours later, Haley. Ugh.
Oh,
like
you
if there was a
loved
movie,
Haley.
If this was a movie, like light would have shined
You
down on
loved Haley.
No, this is amazing.
She
got like the stirrups out right away, like
Yeah.
little things. She was like, "Oh, you're pushing like this way. You need to be pushing." You know, gave me feedback right away, and like she really acted as a doula. She just came in too late, but
she was a nurse, by the way.
She was the best nurse
ever. Yeah,
and we don't give enough love to the maternity nurses, or the labor and delivery nurses.
No, we have to take care of them.
Totally. But I think that if your doula was there, she would have given me feedback right away. Like Andy and I weren't very vocal. Like that we didn't know that the epidural didn't work. It only worked on my like knees down.
And it's your first time.
I'm
like you don't know anything.
What it's supposed to feel like,
right?
You know. So I think the doula's there to really advocate for you. So I'm like a really big proponent of having a doula if you feel like you need help advocating for yourself, or if you are really anxious about delivery, it's worth it. There's a lot of insurance plans now that cover the cost of a doula.
Oh, really?
But I thought doula was like
hippie woo woo.
Yeah, I did not realize how much they advocate for the mom.
Yeah,
you know.
Okay, good.
So, at any rate, Chase comes out. It was tough. Like it was tough, a tough delivery, and I think one of your followers, or a couple of them, had asked, like, what was something that surprised you? I think pregnancy in general, right? Like, some people have really hard pregnancies, but really easy deliveries. Like, one of my girlfriends, she's like, pregnancy is terrible, but delivery is a breeze. Like, I couldn't have
Everyone has a different experience.
Everyone's experience
it's
is so
crazy.
different. So, like I said, I think that there's going to be parts that are easy, parts that are hard. Like, you know, you're just trying to like be in survival mode, and like I said, keep yourself comfortable while you're pregnant. Same thing with delivery. Like you have to, like I said, you know, be flexible and know that like there's somebody that is looking at the bigger picture for you and the baby. But I think the biggest thing that surprised me was that on social media, you see like everyone with their pregnancy announcements, like their kid's name and like, oh my God, I couldn't be more in love. Like my heart is bursting, blah, blah, blah. Even you, like 5 days after, were like, why are you posting this on Facebook? And I'm like, I felt this immense guilt because I had no attachment to Chase for probably like, I actually remember.
Well, because you're like, who the fuck is this?
Who the fuck is this? Also, and
in my house.
I genuinely felt that way with Cooper too, my second. I'll take a step back. I had no friends that had babies yet. I was the first.
Yeah, you were the first.
My really close groups.
Yes, your inner circle.
So I had no one to talk to about it. And I felt so much, I was obviously like, what the fuck just happened to me delivery-wise?
Yeah.
But also, I just felt so guilty. And I remember being nervous. I tell you everything. And I remember being like, I don't want to tell Kelly, like, I don't like my daughter.
And you felt.
And not that I didn't like her. I just had no attachment.
And you felt
they
like
don't
very
open their eyes.
isolated. And I was still living in San Francisco at this time.
Yeah.
And I remember you texted me and you were like, I need you to come home. And
oh, yeah.
Because you weren't like doing great. And I came home for like a week. And like I had never seen you like down bad. Like you've always like your whole life, like maybe you've had like spurts of like anxiety or whatever, but I'd never seen you like mental health wise like struggle.
No, I had full
until
postpartum depression.
That time that I came home and I saw you for the first time, and I saw you for the first time and you just like cried. I like was seeing this different side of you because I'd never seen you have any mental health struggles. And so if like I were to pick someone from a list of people who this is just like theoretical, like, you know, pick from a list of people who might be prone to postpartum depression, you would be the last person that I would pick because you had never had like those types of struggles before. And I know that you like dealt with that. And it was so shocking to me because I'd never seen you like that before.
When I had heard about postpartum depression in the past, it's still like, I feel like there's such a stigma around it. My first start of it was, like I said, that guilt of not feeling attached to Chase.
Yeah.
And me being like, I can't believe I'm leaving the hospital with a baby that I'm not in love with.
Right.
and everyone asking me, are you so in love?
Like, I'm
and
not having this feeling that
so
everyone
I
says that they're
think
having.
That added to it, yes. And then when people talked about postpartum depression, I felt I was such a positive person that I was not a candidate. Like, I was like, that's just not in my journey, because
That's not in the cards for me.
I'm just like, I was like, I always am optimistic. Like, I can move through things really quickly. And that is just not how postpartum depression works. And I really, they say like you have postpartum blues the first 2 weeks. And I mean, there is just literally hormones flooding your body and
like you
leaving
could cry
your
at
body.
any moment.
Crying
Happy
every
or
moment.
sad.
And like I said, you have to really just embrace and feel those feelings and know that they're temporary. But if they are past 2 weeks, that is typically when a doctor says you are now in postpartum depression territory.
Yeah.
The blues are really normal. I think like 80 or 90% of women have that. And then it moves to postpartum depression. And I think a lot more people have it than we think, because they just don't want to talk about it. I remember Andy and Mom sitting me down being like, I think you have postpartum depression. I was like, why? And Andy's like, well, for example, you just sat here for 6 hours. You stared at the wall. You haven't even turned on your phone or TV. I could not call my girlfriends.
You were just like isolating
yourself. It was
yourself.
COVID, yes. And it was like really isolating in general. But yeah, it was really, really hard. And I remember the first time like feeling really connected with Chase. I think it was like 9 or 10 days. And it was when she really opened her eyes. And like, no one tells you that. Like, going back to the earlier question, like, the babies don't open their eyes right away, right? So, and also some women struggle with breastfeeding or not breastfeeding. There's a lot of guilt. The mom guilt starts like immediately. So, like, I remember finally feeling connected to Chase, but still feeling like really empty and isolated. And I ended up talking to, weirdly, one of Andy's friends' wives that had given birth recently. And one of my other girlfriends, I had one friend that had given birth like 1 month before. And I think we both like cried on the phone together, and she was like, she just validated everything.
Yeah.
Because I was so
Made
embarrassed.
you feel less alone.
Yeah. So it's really that part was really isolating for me, but also embarrassing. Sure,
Yeah, it was
you don't
like a
want to
shame.
say,
Yeah.
like, I'm
And it's
not
hard to
totally
ask for
happy.
help sometimes. So
Yeah.
Yeah.
Totally hard to ask for help. And so I think my biggest piece of advice is like, try to set yourself up for success. Like, talk to your partner about, like, especially if like they're not, super in touch with their feelings.
Yeah.
Like, be like, this is what postpartum depression is. You sometimes need to identify that I'm experiencing it before me, and like have check-ins, like ask him or her to have check-ins with you.
Yeah.
Because that, like, having that conversation with Andy and acknowledging it really helped me,
Yeah.
I think, with my second. So to close the loop on Cooper.
Right.
Cooper came, like, we couldn't have sex for months,
Right.
because I was in so much pain and had like dealt with a lot of stuff. Then I got pregnant with Cooper, like
Right.
almost on the first time.
Right.
And
I'll never forget, we were in your kitchen. Chase was shoving, like, in the high
was her
chair,
first
shoving
laugh, remember?
strawberries into her face. She had strawberries all over her face. You were like, we were going to the pool, and everyone was in the car, like, waiting for us.
they were golfing.
Or they were golfing. Yeah. And we were meeting them there.
And I was like, I told you, I was like, I'm going to buy a pregnancy test.
And I was like, you're crazy.
You said you're the most dramatic person.
I was like, you are the drama.
I said, I'm either buying a pregnancy test or 100 condoms
Right.
to make sure that this doesn't happen. And then you walked in as the test like showed positive, and I was like, of course Kelly's here again for this. But the reason that it was also really significant was because I still was like really recovering from postpartum depression.
No, I know.
Like,
you were
I had
like,
really
fuck.
just started to see the light. So I was like, I felt I remember I like had to like lay down on the floor, and that was the first time Chase laughed. And she was just fucking laughing at me.
She was actually
I remember
cackling.
laying on the floor, I'm like, is my daughter
You were
laughing?
literally like, what the fuck is going on? And Chase is cackling. She has strawberries all over her face. Like, it was actually crazy. So, but one thing that I noticed from the outside was that, like, everyone in our family like knew that you had this, like, this struggle. Like, your pregnancy, I didn't really necessarily think anything of it, if it was a struggle or not, because like I'd never been that close to someone who is pregnant. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But then obviously after, like, delivery was challenging. Afterwards was challenging. But then you had this pregnancy with Cooper. And I feel like your pregnancy and your delivery with Cooper was like night and day from
my
your
God.
pregnancy and delivery with Chase. And it was actually like really like interesting after you gave birth to Cooper, literally like a year and some change after Chase came, like literally a month and
They're
like a month.
12 and a half months.
Yeah, which is
13
absolutely wild. You had this like very different postpartum experience. It seemed. I know you had like
Totally.
some blues,
No,
but like
no.
it, it was very.
It was night and day.
Yeah, it was pretty night and day. So that's why it's so interesting to me that not only is every person's pregnancy like different, so you shouldn't compare yourself to other people, but the individual pregnancies can be so different. It's not like every time you're pregnant, you're
Yeah.
gonna be like have that same experience,
Right. No, and so, but if you think about it, there's this doctor, Dr. Becky. If anyone is about to have kids or has toddlers, you should follow her because she's amazing. But like, you get handed this baby and then you leave the hospital, and she does this analogy of like, if you were a brain surgeon, right, and you came home and you were like, oh my God, I sucked at my job today. I fucked up this brain surgery. Like, I can't believe it. But you actually had never been trained in brain surgery.
Right.
You'd be like, oh, how am I doing this? And you're literally given no resources when you're handed this baby.
No, it's kind of wild.
And so like when people are like, oh, were you ready? Were you not? Like, you really do figure it out. So your second baby, when people are asking about I'll get to the transition from 1 to 2, but like when you transition from 1 to 2 kids, you do really come home feeling so much more confident because you've just learned.
You did it.
So much. You did it. Everything's hard until it's not.
Right.
And I remember the first time I left the house with Chase, like just to get brunch. And I was like, Mom, today we're going to leave the house to get brunch. Like, we packed like a diaper bag and a half. Like, we filled the car with things. Like, Mom was like, it's going to be okay. Like, you just have to get over this like fear. Because again, still had bad depression. She was like, you have to get over this fear of like leaving the house with your baby. And I remember being like, I don't know how people leave their house with their like kids.
Yeah.
And then with like Cooper, with 2 of them, I remember the first time I was like, left the house with both of them.
Yeah.
Like you just start to do things, like you are really resilient and you learn. And like I said, everything's hard until it's not. Like, again, leaving the house with the baby at that one time was really hard. Having the baby, is really hard. I think the biggest thing for me is while you're also adjusting and learning and it's exhausting and grueling and like you have to give yourself grace when you bring the baby home, it's also like really intimate with your partner because you're together, like the 3 of you, like you're this little unit. And that's why I think like things you can do as a first time mom is like try to set yourself up for success. The meal train thing with friends, so helpful to know.
What is that? Explain to
like,
anyone who doesn't know.
That's like if one of your friends organizes like lunch and dinner for the next 10 days for like you and your partner, huge help. Or a lot of people will come over before and they'll do like they'll freeze meals for the next like 30 days. So like you just know that you're going to have meals coming. That's like a really hard.
Not one, but a few people asked like, what is a good gift to get someone who's pregnant? Like,
okay, that's one, like organizing the meal
I was going to say, because I think that's a huge thing that you don't realize. It like sounds like nothing, but like to a mom who's just getting home from the hospital.
Everyone brings bagels.
And fighting for their lives. Like if you can like get a meal service or something.
Who's that podcast, the influencer Cameron, who I love?
Freckled Foodie. We love Cameron.
She
records here, I think.
Was just on, today's show just showed like a text thread that like you can send a new mom. I'll just copy and paste that because what they need is you to come over. Like, don't be like, I want to hold the baby. Like, I want to do this. I want to do that. Like, you are offering value to that new mom. You know, like, can I watch the baby while you shower? If they have another kid, like, can I take the toddler, or do you want toddler time? And I'll talk about why that's important. Or like, what can I do? Like, can I do the dishes? Can I bring you coffee? Like, what would help your survival mode? Right? Like, so I think setting yourself up for
what do you need in this moment?
Exactly.
Yeah.
And like for us, like my in-laws live really far away. So like I wish I had spaced out some of those visits because I didn't know I was going to be experiencing what I experienced. But my mother-in-law was like extremely good at that. Like she just anticipated like Morgan's, Morgan needs more of her own diapers. Like Morgan needs this. Like she, did our laundry, made sure the kitchen was clean every day. So that was super helpful.
Yeah.
I think for the transition to 2, what was a really big learning curve for me is like I left the hospital a lot more confident. I had a C-section this time, but honestly, the recovery was great. And I think also if you're going to have a C-section, I know that can be disappointing to some people, but like you are still giving birth to that fucking baby.
You are still giving birth. You still housed and created and baked a whole ass human in your body.
It is still like a really, really beautiful experience.
And right now you have a scheduled C-section.
And now I have a scheduled C-section. Because Chase had shoulder dystocia where her shoulders got stuck. And based on my recovery, they're like, you're not a candidate for a C-section. And then this time they're like, you're not a candidate for a VBAC. Yeah. So, and I'm fine with that.
And VBAC is vaginal birth.
I didn't know cesarean, that. Yes.
Yeah.
The other thing I'll say is like, really make sure you feel good about your doctors, all doctors, because my first pregnancy, I did not have a good experience with the doctor. This time, if they just picked out of a fucking hat and were like, I'm going to deliver Morgan, I would be totally fine. So like meet all the doctors and make sure you're confident because it's whoever's on call, you know? Like you can't plan that perfectly either and you have to be open to that.
Yeah.
But the experience from 1 to 2 was different because, and I will say I have Irish twins, so it was a little bit different. Chase was still like a freaking baby.
Yeah.
But Andy, I was kind of a single parent to Cooper and Andy was a single parent to Chase and they have like this amazing bond, which is beautiful from that. But I was not prepared for how much I was going to be alone with the baby and he was going to be alone with the toddler. And I've talked to friends about this that now have their second. And they're like, Morgan, I'm having immense jealousy because people come over and they're like, oh, I'll take the toddler so you can bond with the baby. And you're like,
no,
I don't know this baby. I want that I want my toddler.
I miss that person.
That's the kid I have an attachment to. I'm still learning about this one.
Right.
So like I remember having this one really emotional experience when my mother-in-law took Chase somewhere.
Yeah.
Which was, by the way, so helpful.
Right.
But I was like, wait, what? Like, why are
I
you
want to hang out with Chase.
And so I think, again, know what you need and vocalize that. Like, it didn't occur to me, that attachment piece. So I was like, hey, actually, I really want to spend time with Chase. Can you take the baby? And also, a lot of people understand that once you say it. Mm-hmm. It's just they think they're helping by taking the toddler. And I think, again, normalize that you're going to, grieve this, like, one-on-one relationship with your older one, but you're giving them the best gift in the entire world.
Yeah. Well, all of that is very helpful, and I'm sure a lot of people will appreciate your experience. I think one thing kind of to shift gears, because there's a lot of people who are like so, myself included, so afraid of having kids because they know that their world is going to get rocked and like their whole life is going to change and the fabric of their being is going to change. Like, I feel like that's all we see. Like, all we see is like, motherhood is so hard. Just wait till you have kids. You'll never sleep again. Like, you'll never go out again. And it's like, kind of like, I don't know, at least what I see on social media, it's like almost like this negative like narrative that pushes fear on you in a way that is like, I'm like, every time I see something, I'm like, I'll wait another year. I'll wait another year. And I feel like you've done this really well, like fitting kids into your life. Like, obviously, when you got pregnant with Chase, you moved from San Francisco to New York or to New Jersey. You left behind this life of like, you were going out every weekend. Like, you did not know you were going to have a kid like in a few months. If you told yourself when we were at your bachelorette party in February that like you'd be having a kid by October, you would be like, absolutely not. So I feel like you've done a really good job of like embracing motherhood, embracing parenthood, making it fun, like fitting them into your life and having fun with it. So like, how do you do, like, what is your perspective on like actually having like this newfound fun with your family and like fitting kids into your life?
You really prioritize your time.
Yeah.
So what you end up wanting to do becomes a little bit different, right?
Yeah.
Like, you do have this new identity, and it is this identity crisis, as you've said, where you're like, I'm a mom now, but who is Morgan? Who is Morgan as a mom? It's like very, very bizarre. And so you have to give yourself grace. But I think you become very effective with your time, and you have to fit your kids into your life. Like, some people say, some people are really diligent, are like, Saturdays are for the kids, Sundays are for us, like whatever it might be. But I think especially with one kid, like, you can still take your kid to go to, a brewery with a friend or whatever it might be. Like, you do, it's a lot more effort, but you have to make that effort to still have like some sense of self.
Right.
And so Andy and I are really big on that. We also are really big on individual trips. We're like very lucky that like mom helps so much to make that a priority. Mom, like we have date night every Thursday. And she trades off with our au pair. Like you have to have like certain aspects where you still feel like yourself with or without kids. And then, yeah, you do have to make that added extra effort to like involve your kids in your life. And I think that they like to see that. You know what I mean?
Because it's easy to just be like, I'm a mom now. I'm at home for the next 5 years. I'm not doing anything. And like early on, you guys were so good about like, even just getting Chase in the stroller, going on a walk to a coffee shop, walking home, like going to lunch, bringing her with you.
You
getting her
have
on a plane. Like you just did it. You just did it.
You just do it, and you really have to. Like I said, it's more effort. So like,
totally, it's not easy.
More like we call it planned spontaneity now,
right?
You know, so
and it's so much stuff.
It's so much stuff.
There's so much stuff. It's crazy.
My big mantra for parenting in general is the highs are highs and the lows are temporary.
Oh, I like that.
Yeah, I put it in every card I give a new mom, like because the highs are fucking incredible. Like they're nothing like you've ever experienced. And you could be having a mental breakdown 1 minute and then they turn to you and then they say like, I love you so much. And like that tantrum has like almost negated itself.
Totally.
And sometimes not. Sometimes you have whiplash from them. But like it really is the best feeling. So ultimately, like I don't miss that I'm not like going to a club anymore or going to a bar anymore.
Yeah.
But I do want to still feel like myself. So I really prioritize like friend trips still and things like that to make me feel like myself. But like even like with travel, like especially while they're young, plan the trip. Like I said, it's going to take a little bit more effort, but you should go while they're young and still experience those things because again, it's going to give you that normalcy. And like I said, everything's hard until you do it.
Yeah.
You know? But I think it's fitting them into your life, but also like just trying to understand like what you need to feel like yourself. Like Andy does not miss his men's basketball league. Like that.
And you do your workouts.
Like I'm really big about my workouts. Yeah. Like you have to know like yourself and what you need. And then as it relates to like being a working mom, there's I think a lot of guilt around that. I experience that still like every week. But actually I had a conference this June. And
I remember this.
I was so excited to go because I was like, oh, I'm going to be out on maternity leave. That's my favorite part about my job is like going to see customers. I get to go to this conference. And of course, like a couple weeks before the conference, Chase's graduation is announced that it's that week. And I immediately chalk it up. I'm like, I can't go obviously to her graduation. Like it was an immediate impulsive no.
Right.
And I was bummed. But I was like, you know, in my head, I'm like, this isn't even a real fucking graduation. She's still going to school next year.
Right.
Like I totally dismissed it. And I actually called mom and dad and I was like, can you guys go to Chase's graduation? Obviously mom was like immediate yes. So while I'm at the conference on like Monday, graduation was on Wednesday, let's say, dad calls me and he's like, hey, can't swing Chase's graduation. I have to be on site. Yeah. And I had this aha moment where I was like, oh my gosh, and this isn't dad's fault. I think that's just like men, a lot of men, their generation and their generation in general is like, you put work first. And last year I had a big deal I was working on and I can't tell you how many like bedtimes I missed and just stuff I missed because I realized I was conditioning myself to always put work first. Yeah. So I had this aha moment when dad said that because I was like, he doesn't actually really need to be there. And I also don't actually need to be here this day. And if I don't make the effort now to show up when I can, because you will inevitably miss things, then I'm going to, like, it's so easy for those decisions to compound. And then that's your natural state, is to pick work over the kids. Yeah. So I got on a red eye and I made it to Chase's graduation. And like what she did to like her face lighting up, being like, my mommy's here. Like my mommy flew on an airplane here from work. Like she was telling everyone. And like, I went like totally disheveled, but I was just like, if I don't make those choices now, then that's the foundation that I'm setting up and she will recognize that. And on the flip side, like a month late, you know, I remember I missed her like camp, like swim graduation. I had a call I couldn't miss and Andy was sick.
There are
and like,
things
there are just things you're going to miss. And the mom guilt doesn't end ever. Yeah. But I think if, you know, in terms of like balancing life, like why would I choose why wouldn't I make that extra effort for my kids
because you could.
When you can.
Because you could, yeah.
When you can, because you're not always going to be able to.
Yeah.
Especially for a job that will replace you tomorrow.
Totally.
And by the way, like, especially now, so many people, like when I told my customers, like, hey, I have to leave a day early to go to my kid's graduation, they're like, abso-fucking-lutely.
Yeah. You'd be shocked, I feel like, sometimes.
People are
I know there's
so
a lot of like
supportive.
toxic workplaces and toxic people that you work, like, sometimes it's just like there will be situations where you don't get support for people, but sometimes I think you'll be shocked
At how supportive people can be.
Because think about how you would respond if someone said that to you. Like, you'd be like, go, oh my God.
Oh my God, yeah. And it's just like, again, perspective, right? Like when you can make the effort, like it wasn't easy, but make the effort, you know? And
like
when
you were exhausted,
can't,
obviously.
And when you can't, do not beat yourself up.
Yeah.
You know?
You can't.
One of my girlfriends and my like mom group of friends who, like, by the way, it's just saving grace. And like
your group of mom friends is fucking unmatched.
And
they are like phenomenal.
I would be like, I mean, my kids wouldn't be signed up for anything if it wasn't for them. But like, she texted me the other day, texted me and a couple other moms. And she's like, I'm having mom guilt that I'm not making lunch for my daughter and I'm buying lunch for her every day. Like, am I off base? And we all were like, yes, you're feeding your kid because you're a working mom and you're
like
getting
you're
her
literally
lunch.
getting her fed. You're doing your job.
End of discussion. Like, feel those feelings. You're gonna have mom guilt eventually. You know, like they're gonna come in waves. But like, you need a sounding board to be like, this is not a good use of your energy.
Yeah,
you've had the thought. Now move on. You know.
Okay. Last thing.
Yeah.
What has motherhood taught you about yourself? Like, what is like the thing that you didn't know before you became a mom, and like a positive thing? Like, what are you proud of in terms of like who you've become that you've like seen in yourself now?
I think I would say not all the time, but I am much more patient than I thought.
You are such a good mom. I know I tell you all the time, but like, you are literally so good at this.
That's really nice. Now, I have moments where I fucking snap. And I'm like, then you have mom guilt. She's like, I can't believe I snapped at them. But I am, like, I have, again, my perspective is like, you know, Chase's new thing. She's like, why don't we push our beds together? And I was like,
totally.
It is a good idea, girly.
It's such a good idea.
But like, she's like, why do you sleep with daddy? But like, we're the girly. Like, that's her new thing.
Like, why would you sleep with him? That's so rude.
And she's like, the girly should sleep in here. And so I was like, oh, my bed won't fit in your room. And she's like, I'll put my bed in your room. Like,
perfect.
I'm like, problem solver.
Love that for her.
But she gets really, really upset lately at night. I think probably because of the baby coming, that like, we're not going to sleep together, even though I've never let her sleep in my bed, really. But I think like the patience and like reminding myself, like, she's not always going to need that. Like, that perspective has really helped me, but I am surprised at how patient I can get.
Yeah.
And like, my husband's like the best dad in the entire world. Like,
he was born to be a dad. So I just want to put this on record. Like Andy, your Andy is an anomaly.
Yeah.
Like, even before you were pregnant.
Totally.
We've said this forever.
I called him dad before.
He was put on this earth to be a father. So like, that is also just an FYI. Like, he's
like
not like
better at it than me. But I will say the other thing that I think really surprised, and even if with him being the best dad in the world, like, it's the it's like the mental load that the moms take on. Like, making sure that the kids have shoes that fit, making sure that they're signed up for classes. Like, even the most involved dads don't necessarily
They don't know to do that.
Yeah, I love them, but they don't.
I love them, but they don't. Like, how do you think their shoes got here?
Totally. Like, one day we got in an argument. I was like, why are there forks
in this house?
Yeah, like, exactly. I was like, how did diapers get here?
How do you think this arrived?
Yeah. And I think being able to handle some of the mental load, I've surprised myself. Like I said, like, you just become a little bit better at time management. Like, people should really hire a lot of working moms because like, they're like not dilly-dallying.
They're getting
shit done. And I think that has been really surprising that sometimes I beat myself up over like missing something, but I'm like, wow, like, if you really look at what you did at work, in life, for the kids at the end of the week, like,
you're like, I've accomplished some shit.
I've accomplished some shit.
And I kept some people alive.
Totally.
Including myself. That's amazing. You're so good at being a mom. Like,
it's really hard, and it's really rewarding. It really is. Like, it will give you whiplash of both of those feelings, but it is like the best feeling ever.
You make me excited to be a mom one day.
I think for anyone listening that's like on the fence, I don't think you're all like there's this like magic timing of like you're ready.
Yeah.
Especially because I know like a lot of people when they're ready to start trying, they really mean they're ready to be pregnant, and trying can take historically months.
Yeah.
So, and you have to give yourself grace with that because that can put a lot of pressure on it. But I don't think that there's statistics on, there's a book called What Makes People Happy. And there's like statistics on, there's no set of financial income, support, et cetera, that make you more ready.
Yeah.
For like, or make your kid, I think it was actually make your kid or your household more successful. There isn't a threshold.
Yeah.
Like you just get it done.
I always tell Andy that he's going to have to poke holes in condoms and not tell me because like I just don't know if I'm ever going to be like, yeah, let's.
Well, think about it. Like you are going to have to adjust your life significantly when you have a baby. And like a lot of people like their lives.
I do.
So what you really need to shift gears on is like, I want to welcome this baby into my life. And like, again, everything's seasonal, right? So like the first 3 months you're home a lot, but like eventually you can, move around with a baby and incorporate them into your life, and it's going to be beautiful.
I know. I just hope that like I figure, like Andy walked in this morning, he was like, can I put this in the oven? And I'm like, oh my God, like and I was like, I don't know. Like
he's reading about derivatives and like bothering me.
Literally bothering. This morning he walked in, he was like, send a photo to Morgan. Like he is like, lives.
I asked Andy what he was, I was like, oh, what are you reading? It was Saturday at like 8 a.m. And he's like, what did he say? Like economic derivatives or something. And I was like, ew, just like don't even
it's 8 a.m.
I was like, you're bothering me.
Like read Harry Potter,
he loves, he would.
He loves Harry Potter, but yeah, anyway. Thank you for coming on again.
Of course.
We'll have to do this again. People want to hear what my journey from your POV. And I think that's the whole episode on its own.
There's a lot of topics like our relationship, your journey that are its own episode. We can take a deep dive and giggle.
I'll try to get you before you get.
Yeah, you have 7.5 weeks.
Okay, great. All right, we'll have to do that next. Well, thank you, Morgan, for coming on.
Did you order your Spider-Man costume?
No, I need to do that.
I think you should end the episode with
that video. Yeah, everyone was really confused by it last week.
My son now thinks you are Spider-Man.
I know, and I'm like running with that bit. I'm going to let you get back to work. I did steal Morgan from the office today. Sorry.
Gotta get back to corporate America.
Gotta get back to corporate America. Thank you for listening.
I love you guys.
We love you, and we'll see you again next week. Go have a very nice day.
I will.
Okay, great. High five.